Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here. I appreciate you joining me once again. Um, I think I always like to start these with a quick life update, and this one I want to start with a props to all of you stay-at-home parents as well as you single parents, because at the time of doing this, I'm currently on winter break, and so today I was in charge of the kids for not even a full day. We'll just say the first 4 hours of the day while my wife was working, and in doing so. Let's see how that went. Well, I was reading a book to my oldest, and then my 5-month-old decided it'd be really fun to spit up all over him. So then I needed to change his clothes, needed to change his bed, which we just got him to start sleeping in. Then my daughter continued to spit up all over, so that was really fun. Then from there, we decided it was time to play with Play Doh. So we go to the kitchen. I make a giant mess of Play Doh everywhere, and I am a horrible person when it comes to cleaning up after myself. So I make a huge mess and realize how hard it is to hold a baby while chasing a 2.5-year-old around the house who's making a mess. And I just realized I don't pick any of it up until after the fact. I have no idea how my wife picks up after these children while watching them. And I was, needless to say, at the end of the 4 hours, exhausted. And that was only 4 hours. And she does it all day, every day. And I don't know how she does it. So, to any of you that are taking care of kids on your own, props to you because it is a beast. Holy cow. Uh, yeah, props to you. And geez, as looking at the screen here, if anyone watches the video, I apologize that I have not shaved this week. This is called Stay at Home Dad on Winter Break Life. But hopefully, no one even watches these videos anyway, so I have to worry about this, and you just are listening to the audio. All right, so that's enough about me here. Let's get into this topic for today. This is something, that I was reading about, and I thought it was an interesting topic that we should talk about, and it's called accidental calories. And these aren't like hidden, these aren't things, that are in food, and it's like, you pulled one on me. These are things that we're consuming, and we don't even realize it. And those calories add up. Sometimes we think, man, I eat such healthy meals. How am I not able to lose weight? Or how am I putting weight on? Like, I know that I am doing a good job with my eating. And truthfully, there are these little parts of our eating habits that kind of catch us off guard. And so I kind of wanted to break those down first. The first one is distracted eating. This could be anything like maybe you're watching TV while you're eating, you're working while you're eating, and whatever it is, and you're not listening to your body's hunger cues, and you're just eating while doing something else. And that tends to result in you overeating. If you think about that, if let's say we're always working while we're eating or we're always watching TV while we're eating, if we're not focusing on our body telling us when we're full because our attention is elsewhere, we tend to overeat in those circumstances. Whereas if you just sit there and eat your meal, you might actually stop eating sooner if you're there. And it's a hard thing to do, right? To not be on our phone while we're eating or to eat undistracted. But it's just, again, I'm not saying that you can't do those things, but I just want to make you aware of some things that could be compromising, your progress. Another thing is we love our kids, but we shouldn't feel like we always need to clean their plates. Whether it's eating a little one's plate, eating your teenager's plate, stuff they left, because it's like, I don't want to let that money go to waste. And so we eat their food and we pick at their food because, once again, we don't want to waste anything. But uh, you don't realize that those calories can add up. Let's say it's 50 calories at every single meal for a little one, or maybe it's an extra 200 calories, or maybe it's an extra 300 if you're finishing maybe their dessert, or they didn't eat all of their meat, or they didn't finish all their French fries. You can see how those calories can start to get you. Another one that I think people are becoming aware of, but I still think it's important to bring back to the front of our brain is when we are drinking our calories. There are so many calories in so many different beverages, from pop to smoothies to coffees. I like a reference I heard before that when you're at Starbucks, sometimes you're basically drinking a muffin with caffeine. We say no to the things in the bakery, but the stuff that we put in our drinks basically make it a baked good with the number of calories that are in there. And if we do this day after day, you can see how that adds up. And so those are kind of like the three main accidental calories that I see. distracted eating, taking stuff from your kids' plates, as well as drinking our calories. There also are some other ones. Let's say you don't do those things and you say, no, I track all my food. I know exactly what I'm eating. I use things like my Fitness Pal. Well, there can be some other things that you're not really recognizing. Sometimes it could just be a miscalculation on your end. Are you choosing the right food from there? Are you properly entering the food in there? There's a lot of recipes that you can put into MyFitnessPal, but is that really an accurate representation of what you are eating? And again, that's accidental, right? It's not like you're doing that on purpose with the miscalculations, but if you're not calculating things properly, that can play a role in your total daily intake and you consuming more than you thought you did based on what you calculated there. All right, so thanks, Jeff. Thanks for pointing out all of the ways that I could be slipping up. That's really helpful. Uh, right, like if I just ended it here, that would not be ideal. So what I tried to do is I'm like, all right, let me try to think if I could come up with some ways to help you with each of these things. And basically, the way to do it is one of my first tips would be to be intentional with your eating. And some ways that we can be intentional are try to limit your snacking between meals. A lot of times, the snacking that we have between meals are things that come from bored eating. They're things that come from uh, stressed eating, things like that. And they're not really calories that we need. So if you focus on just having good meals, that can hold you over. That's going to limit the amount of snacking that you do through a lot of times, maybe this distracted eating. Also, before you eat something, ask yourself what's in it, especially when you're eating out. This can go with like the drinking calories and also just being aware of like the calories in food that we accidentally consume. For example, like, do you need those extra pumps in your drink when you're going to Starbucks? When you're ordering a sandwich, is there anything on it that you ordered that you don't really want or you can live without? For example, like let's say you really want a grilled chicken sandwich, but they put fried onion rings on top of it. Like, are you getting the sandwich for those fried onion rings? Or can you say, hey, I don't want the onion rings? Can you say like, hey, put the sauce on the side so that way you can control how much sauce you're having with something? Uh, those are all decisions that we can make with our food and being aware of what's potentially in it. With our kids' plates, like, do you really need to finish their meals? And are those extra calories worth it? I think that's what you need to ask yourself. Is it worth me eating all of these extra calories and compromising the progress that I want to make just because I feel like I'm wasting food? Because now it's like, man, if you look back, it's like I kind of wish I just got rid of that food because I didn't need it, or you put it back in the fridge and saved it for another day, depending what it was. The other thing I'd like to just say is let's just not only be intentional, but be mindful. Are you actually hungry? Ask yourself this before you eat. Do I really need to eat right now? Or am I just eating because I'm stressed or I'm bored? Also ask yourself, can I replace the snacks that I'm eating with something else? For example, instead of having a bag of chips, can you do veggies and hummus? Because maybe you are hungry and you need a snack. At the end of the night, maybe instead of ice cream, can you do frozen fruit and some pieces of dark chocolate? Because when you compare the two of those, you'll notice there's a big difference in calories there as well. So, just to kind of quickly summarize here, you could be doing everything right or think that you're doing everything right. And I'm not saying that you're intentionally compromising your journey, but there are these accidental calories that show up. And the best ways that we can be aware of them is by being intentional in our eating and being mindful of what we are doing and just always asking ourselves, like, do I want this right now? Or do I need this? Or does this fall in line with what I want? And, if the answer to those questions is yes, as in like, I do want this and I need this, if it is, this falls in line with my goals, and great, it's something to eat. But if you look at it and you're like, I don't know, not really. But all right, well, maybe we can find something else that's better for you in that situation. All right. Again, thank you for tuning in for another episode. I'm looking at the clock, kept myself to under 10 minutes, which I am happy about. I appreciate the feedback. If one of these tips has been helpful to you, send me a message. Let me know. If you want more tips like this, join me at smtfitparent.com, where I'm continuously providing content for people, recipes, ideas, and things that we can do, challenges to help us keep our health on the front of our mind. And of course, if you want to work with me one-on-one, that's awesome too. Right now in filming this is the end of December. The next group of people I'll be bringing on will be in January. So if that's something that interests you, send me a message and I can give you some more information so I can get you on that wait list for that as well. All right. Thanks again for tuning in for another episode, and we will talk soon.